Leftover Lies, 7th edition. So just a reminder, this is where I cover any leftover topics that I didn't cover in any of my recent Rabbit Hole Roundup episodes. Typically leftover videos or TikToks like I found interesting, and sometimes just thoughts I had that I felt like sharing with you guys.
All of my darkest fears and everything I'm capable of. That's me.
So on tap for today, we have a Deandre Jordan clip. Who knew like this guy could be so spiritual? Talking about overcoming your struggles, as well as reframing your mindset around them. We also have a powerful Instagram post that talks about how all these well-known people who are super successful as we know them now had to post thousands of videos or make thousands of works of art, but we only saw the finished product. We also have an Eric Thomas post, famous motivational speaker, that's a reminder to focus on all the audience that you do have and all the people who you can impact versus the ones who you haven't yet. I also have posts from TPain,
370 million, you can't be too cool for that,
and Xzibit,
you left your mark on the city for real,
rappers, and they have a super powerful perspective from a TikTok clip I saw the other day about someone who went through his own life-threatening illness challenges and why this reminded him that he's worthy of God's love no matter what condition he's in. So we have all that and possibly even more. So without further ado, let's dive deeper into today's episode right now. Also, just so you guys know, even though like my eyesight is actually looking way better today, the reason why I might not be 1,000% in comparison to the last video is because I actually filmed the last video yesterday. So like most of the time, I'm not going to be filming videos back to back. But like, I just wanted you guys to know that like this isn't actually a week apart, this is actually only a day apart.
really, it is not that serious.
So anyways guys, time to finish up the leftovers, let's get to it now.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening guys, welcome back to the channel, I'm Jared Weiss. For you guys who know that must mean not subscribe to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform if you guys have done so already. Make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links purchased are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEIS.com. Buy the book, support me, as always, and the support is very much appreciated. Also, soon enough, I will be having some merch and some like really cool t-shirts on there too, so like stay tuned for that, coming very soon. Now the first post I want to share was coming from Deandre Jordan, NBA center, which talks about taking on a growth mindset every time you're struggling and how to reframe your mindset.
Just because you're struggling doesn't mean you should quit. I love the quote from Winston Churchill. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. I was recently reminded of this when I was watching a young teammate of mine work out. And sometimes at the end of our workouts, there are challenges that we have to overcome, whether it be making a certain amount of threes in a row from each spot or a certain amount of free throws out of something. And he was visibly frustrated with this. And I reminded him before he wanted to walk away, what's gonna happen when we're in the finals and we're down 2 points and we need you to make 3 free throws in a row for us to win. He was still frustrated, but he listened. And I said, are you gonna remember yourself walking away from this challenge? Or are you gonna remember yourself staying here, walking through adversity and overcoming it? And he thought about that for a second and he appreciated that. And he walked through it and he stayed there and he finished it. So remember, when adversity comes, don't run from it, embrace it, love it, lean into it, because adversity is only gonna get you prepared for success.
So a super powerful reminder, like when we're faced with tremendous challenges, oftentimes the only way out is through. It's not about avoiding the challenge or seeing it as bad or something that's wrong, but like, as I'm always saying, sports are just like a great metaphor for life in so many ways. So like right here, it sounds like something that's like very insignificant. So like a player was missing threes in practice.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player and we're in here talking about practice.
But as Deandre said to him, what are you going to remember yourself if it's actually a bigger moment and you're struggling? Are you going to remember yourself walking away, or are you going to remember yourself pushing through, getting to the other side, and being way better as a result? So next time you're faced with a challenge, don't see it as, how do we get around this? Why is this happening to me? Think to yourself, how can I grow from this? And how can I use this to shape me in the ways like I want to be shaped in? And how could going through this actually make me stronger? Next, I saw a very powerful Instagram post a few days ago talking about how oftentimes we don't see all the work and all the failure that comes before the massive success. So the first side of the post says, Mr. Beast uploaded 455 videos before going viral. Second side, Picasso created 20,000 artworks before the world recognized his genius. Walt Disney turned 300 rejections into the most magical brand on earth. Gary Vee posted 1,000 wine videos before anyone noticed him. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times before becoming a legendary director. The Beatles played over 1,000 shows and were rejected by 4 labels before revolutionizing music. Michael Jordan missed 9,000 shots on his way to becoming the greatest of all time. Winners don't succeed in spite of failure, they succeed because of failure. While others shield themselves from the sting of defeat, winners run towards it. They take big risks and put their reputation on the line, knowing that whatever happens, they'll come out a more competent opponent on the other side. Whether you're chasing championships or personal goals, the same truth applies. To double your rate of success, you have to double your rate of failure. The more you learn about what doesn't work, the more you understand what does. Everything changes when you reframe losses like this. It's not a setback, it's one step closer. It's not a measure of incompetence, it's proof of your willingness to take risks and charge boldly forwards. Write this down, remind yourself of it all day long. Failure isn't the enemy of success, it's the foundation. So, super powerful because oftentimes the winners are actually going to be the ones who have the most failures accumulated.
I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed.
So as far as I see it, success isn't a matter of how do I go viral overnight? How do I take that huge 100-step leap forward? It's actually about how do I accumulate enough failures in order to get me to that overnight success? How long am I willing to stay in the game before I'm going to throw in the towel? Because how many people start up a podcast and quit 3 months into it? How many people start a weight loss journey or an athletic journey and stop because the progress doesn't happen as fast as they want it to? But nothing worth having comes easy, and you have to be willing to fail and willing to see that failure as a stepping stone to success, not as a detractor. So you may only be seeing the highlights of some of these famous people, or when that person reaches the mountaintop, but you most likely won't be seeing for most of these people the path they actually took to get there, with all the bumps and bruises on the way. Moving right along, I have a super powerful Eric Thomas post, famous motivational speaker, talking about why it's so important to focus on the people who are in your audience right now, and focus on all the good things you have going for you, versus all the people who aren't watching you yet. So the first slide says, when my son launched his clothing line, he was defeated after selling only 6 pieces out of 100. I almost put him on punishment. Why? Because he was focused on the 94% who didn't buy it instead of the 6% who did. And let me tell you who those 6% were. One of the top Instagram influencers, an NBA player rocking the full fit, an NFL player wearing it in the tunnel, a WNBA player representing. That's not a failure, that's a launch. But pessimism blinds you to victory and makes you worship your defeats. Hope isn't naive, it's strategic. It focuses your energy where it matters. Stop listening to men and start listening to God. You need to quarantine away from people with old thinking. You can't be coached by people who are jealous of you. Don't delete your dream because of a temporary setback. Keep it alive and watch it transform your life. Plan to leave, don't react, and leave. Don't let bills make your decisions, let your dreams make them. Champions aren't born, they're trained. Stop chasing what you don't have, maximize the gifts already in your hands, and the bag will follow. He goes on with a few more super powerful slides, but I want to focus on how, as I know personally, as an aspiring influencer, but as a content creator, it's very easy to see all these people who have millions of views, and I might have a post that only gets single-digit views after working on it for hours and hours and putting my all into it. But what if I focus on just impacting those single-digit people positively? Are those people then going to create a whole chain reaction? Can I make those lives better, bring value to them, and bring value into every video I make? Also, sometimes you may do something now that doesn't bring fruits until 5 years later. So everything you're doing right now is actually laying the foundation for the ultimate success to come on top of.
Make it because have strong root.
But you don't get there by worrying about all the things that you don't have right now and worrying about, only 6 people bought my clothing and 94 people didn't. Worry about making an impact, being proud of the work you're doing, and eventually all of the other things that I believe in my own life, and for anyone else out there too who's grinding on their dreams, but still patiently waiting on the results. All those bonuses and all those great things are going to come after the work, not before it though. And not unless you actually give everything you do your all, and focus on what you do have, not what you don't. So it's if I make a great video, and only single-digit people watch it, but every one of those people got something out of it, that's not a failure, that's actually success, and that's something I could build on. Next up, we have a post coming from TPain.
You just gonna come in here and ruin everybody today? Your vibe is just ignorance today.
Famous rapper, talking about how good music is actually still out there, you just have to find it.
Everybody's always like, where's the music we loved? Look for it. It ain't no real music on Spotify. Yes, it is. Look for it. Go search. Stop consuming the shit that they make you consume. Stop consuming the shit that they force feed you on the featured page. There's nothing stopping you from just typing in what you think you want to hear. There's nothing stopping you from doing that shit, man. Everybody.
So I actually fully agree with this, and this analogy can actually go for anything in our lives as well. Because as I'm always saying, whether you're searching for the good or the bad in the world, you're going to find it. It's all out there for you. So like, if you only want to consume everything on the For You page or everything like these apps are going to show you, you may think to yourselves like, oh, there's no good music out there. There's no good people out there who are making great posts and who are doing great work. But it's actually up to you to find the good music, or good people, or good movies out there. Sometimes like it's actually about sifting through all the bad to find the gold. But it's like if you're so dead set on hating all the music that's out there, or hating all the movies that are out there, that's what you're going to see more of in your life. Or in the world. If you say to yourselves, there's no good people left, what do you think you're going to see in everyone? You're going to see the bad in everyone.
I will never understand people.
They're the worst.
Or on the other hand, if you see it as, maybe there's all this bad content out there, or bad music, but like if I'm actually intentional about it, I could search for it and find what I'm looking for. It's all out there, you just have to find it. Very well said, TPain. And next up on some TikToks I saw that were very powerful. So the first one is coming from someone who says, what cancer taught me. Let's watch together.
Today's my birthday, and it has been the hardest year of my life, and I wanted to share something that I learned with y'all. When I was younger, I used to define myself as an actor, right? Which was never really all that fulfilling. And then I became a husband, and that was much better. And then I became a father, and that was the ultimate. I could define myself then as a loving, capable, strong, supportive husband, father, provider, steward of the land that we're so lucky to live on. And for a long time, that felt like a really good definition to the question, who am I? What am I? And then this year, I had to look my own mortality in the eye. I had to come nose to nose with death. And all of those definitions that I cared so deeply about were stripped from me. I was away for treatment. So I could no longer be a husband that was helpful to my wife. I could no longer be a father who could pick up his kids and put them to bed and be there for them. I could not be a provider because I wasn't working. I couldn't even be a steward of the land because at times I was too weak to prune all the trees during the window that you're supposed to prune them. And so I was faced with the question, if I am just a too skinny, weak guy alone in an apartment with cancer, what am I? And I meditated and the answer came through, I am worthy of God's love. Simply because I exist. And if I'm worthy of God's love, shouldn't I also be worthy of my own? And the same is true for you. And as I move through this healing portal toward recovery, I wanted to share that with you because I think that revelation that came to me was due in no small part to all the prayers and the love that have been directed toward me. So I offer that to you, however it sits in your consciousness, however it resonates, run with it. And if the word God trips you up, I certainly don't know, I can't claim to know what God is or explain God. My efforts to connect to God are an ongoing process that is a constant unfolding mystery to me. But if it's a trigger, it feels too religious, you can take the word God out and your mantra can simply be, I am worthy of love. Because you are. Thank you for the love and prayers, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Incredibly well said, especially because so many of our identities, whether it's athlete or teacher or lawyer or husband or father or wife or son, daughter, etc., it's like what happens to us if we can no longer be the best at those things? And it's like, I know from my own experience when it comes to going through a whole life-threatening illness and subsequent healing challenges and a whole journey of my own, for so much of my life, I was so tied into my value as a human comes from being the best athlete I could be. But it's like then there was a period of time where I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't play sports, I couldn't lift weights, I didn't have the same levels of strength like I always had. But did this mean that like I was no longer worthy of love and that like I was no longer worthy of God's love? No. And going through crazy health challenges really shows you like what's important in life. And so like I hope like you guys don't have to go through that in order to have the same perspective like that I have now, which is that who you are as a person will always be more valuable and will always be more important than what you do. What you do is great. Find your passions, follow your passions, as I'm always saying, but then strip down all these man-made identities and realize like who you are as a person is worthy of love no matter what. And you have to have this own unconditional self-love for yourself. So it's a very powerful reminder for anyone. Next up, on a lighter note, I do have a clip coming from Xzibit.
You need to get your food and take your ass back to work. You're dreaming if you think them corny ass raps will work.
Famous rapper talking about how hip hop is the only genre that has ageism. Interesting.
Hip hop is the only genre of music that has ageism.
It's so true.
And when I say that, I mean it's like once you go past early 20s, you're a old head for some reason, or you don't belong.
You're washed.
Right. And so I think that being part of a genre and a culture that's only 50 years old, 50 plus now, we're the first of our kind to cross this threshold that went from cassettes, CDs into the streaming world. We're from the last regime change, going into a new regime change, and nobody has told the Rolling Stones when to stop touring. Nobody's told rock bands when to stop touring. Paul McCartney. Only hip hop does that, and it's weird to talk about Simba's verse because he says because everybody's fighting for these 5 seats, but there's way more seats to success than these 5 that everybody's fighting over. So I look at it like this is a great time for me. Kendrick did a wonderful job reigniting the coast, and kind of putting a battery in the energy that's out here. I think it's a great climate to drop this record.
So X actually makes a very interesting point here, because how many rock stars are rocking into their 70s or 80s and are still able to sell out shows? But like, how many times does it happen where a hip hop artist turns 30 or 40 and everyone is calling them washed? And to finish off that point, he says how everyone's fighting for these 5 seats, but there actually are many other seats out there. And the same thing goes for anything in our lives, I think. Maybe we're only looking at the top content creators and we're saying to ourselves, if we're not one of them, then it's not worth it. But there's plenty of food to go around, and I don't think age should be a limiting factor. I mean, I've actually been seeing some clips on Instagram from this rap duo, who I think is in their 70s or 60s, something like that, and they're actually really good at it, and they're having a lot of fun doing it. So if you have a passion, keep following it. Don't let age be a limiting factor. I mean, I get it in this case, especially because rap's supposed to be hardcore and it's supposed to be super upbeat, up-tempo. But hey, if Xzibit is able to change that narrative, and if he's able to make it as someone who's an older artist, I think that would be a great thing, and I think it would be really cool to see. What do you guys think about that? Next up, I have a clip talking about wireless headphones and why they're so dangerous, which I fully agree with, but I'm going to provide some nuance to this take.
Wait, I thought we all knew that AirPods are essentially frying our brains with radiation. I'm not trying to be fear-mongery, but Bluetooth headphones emit radiation. It's just a fact. So having them in your ears that close to your brain for as long as most of us would have them in is a lot of radiation. Plus, I think the wired headphones actually have better sound because I can put it close to my mouth, especially if I'm in a crowded area and I'm trying to film a TikTok and there's sounds going on around me, the audio is going to sound so much better this way. Team wired headphones, let me know if you guys switch.
So, I'm on team wired headphones myself, especially because being someone who's healing from major health challenges, I'm going to do everything in my power to provide my body with the best environment in order to fully heal, and I don't want any radiation frying my brain. Especially because when you have wireless headphones, what's in between them? Your brain.
Sir, your head, it's on fire.
So she's totally right in saying that, but having said that, and this is something one of my gym friends often laughs with me about, because he's always calling me out for wearing wired headphones, if I even do wear headphones at the gym, which oftentimes I don't because I'm talking to so many people there, but I see illness and major illness as an overflowing cup. So every toxin, every toxic action, every toxic thought, every environmental toxin, etc., bad foods, the whole deal. But everything is a drop in that bucket. Just because someone's wearing wired headphones doesn't mean their brain is gonna explode and they're gonna have major brain damage.
Because you were supposed to explode.
But it is another drop in the bucket. I don't want to be partaking in, because I'm gonna do everything possible to be as healthy as I can from a holistic standpoint. But it's not every person who gets a certain quacks is gonna have major health issues, just how not every person who wears wired headphones is gonna have major health issues. Because the fewer toxins you have in that cup, the more your body's gonna be able to handle. And also our bodies are actually incredibly resilient and can handle a lot of damage. But this doesn't mean that you should be adding on damage when it is something that's under your control. So interesting to think about. Final clip I want to share in this week's episode is coming from music artist Mike, and he's talking about how the external world and your internal world is actually going to be mimicked on social media. Let's watch together.
The algorithm on everyone's social media is the same thing as the external world. Let's call our social media our digital world in life. And then we have our external world, which is us operating in the natural world, right? What we think about and what we put our energy on and our attention on, we get more of. That is the law of attraction. That's what we're talking about all the time. Because what you focus on in your life, you will get more of. If I go for a ride and I'm looking for only red cars, I'm gonna see red cars. I'm not gonna see the yellow or the white cars as much. I'm gonna see the red cars because that's what I'm focused on and that's what I'm looking at. The same way when you're worrying and you're in a fear state and you're in a lacking scarcity mindset and you're worried about how you're gonna get your next paycheck, albeit real for some people, the people who get into the trusting flow state of collaboration with the universe and every day you're trying to program yourself towards looking for the bright side in things, their life is gonna reflect that. And that's what we've been preaching on this podcast. Now, if you take it over to the digital world, that's exactly what the algorithm is. If you watch a thing about Call Her Daddy podcast and you watch a minute of it, guess what? Two swipes later, you're getting more Call Her Daddy. And your For You page is all the stuff that you give attention.
Yep.
So how is it any different? It's the exact same thing as life.
Very true. And this is why, I'm always very hesitant and reluctant to blame social media for all of our problems, because I see it as a double-edged sword. It can be great, because if we're following good people, if we're watching good content, and we're actually using our phones intentionally, it can be an amazing thing for our mental health. It can be great for connection. It can be great for learning from people. But if you're focusing on the bad things, if you're watching more bad content, it's actually your choosing, and that's why you're receiving more negativity in your feed. Same way with having the real world. If you're friends with 5 bad people, you're going to be the 6th bad one. If you're searching for all the bad, you're going to find it. But if you search for the good, you're going to find it too. If you're focused on highlighting all the good things in your life, being grateful, having a good mindset, you're going to find more of that whether in social media or out in the real world. So don't blame social media for all your problems. See how you're using it. And look, I'm not saying that social media and the algorithms are perfect, but we do have to take some accountability when it comes to the way we're using these things. So, is the algorithm in your life programmed to see good, programmed to follow good people, and searching for reasons to be happy and positive? Or is it resembling someone who's not using social media intentionally and who's actually allowing it to take over their lives? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Let me know your favorite topic in the comments below. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. I will catch you next time. Peace.